Hello race fans, I'm Chris Terrell. I'm here for dailyfantasysportsrankings.com to bring my weekly Daily Fantasy NASCAR post-qualifying picks video. Before getting into that, if you're not a DFSR member yet, make sure to sign up. It's going to give you access to our member chat room. I'm in there discussing NASCAR pre-lock, usually in there Saturday night as well. And I cover NHL, do sheets for NBA, cover MLB and NFL as well as PGA for DFSR. So I'm in there pretty much 24/7, 365. When you go to the sign up page, you're going to get a 7-day free trial right now, and then you have two options after that free trial is out, either $14.95 a month, which is going to give you our projections, and then to get our optimizer for the NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL, it's going to be $29.95 a month. One subscription covers all the sports and the member chat as well. Get over, check it out today. With that, let's get into this week's picks. This week, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series stays in Charlotte after the All-Star race last week for the longest race of the season, the Coca Cola 600. So Charlotte Motor Speedway, mile-and-a-half intermediate track. The one thing that we will look at this week is that 2019 rules package. It is the full package this week again. We've now got a little bit of sample size that we can go off of. So what I have done this week is, along with the track type history on the sheet, I've also added the 2019 races that were on the mile-and-a-half tracks using the same package, which was the Las Vegas, the Texas, and the Kansas races. So I've got average finish, DK average, and FanDuel average on there as well. You can see that also down here. There is a tab for that, so you can go ahead and look at that if you want to look at that a little bit further, see where each driver placed. We'll refer to this a little bit later. So I have added that. From a fantasy perspective, this race has been like a one dominator race, which is one driver leading 100 plus laps in 5 of the last 6 races here. Adding to that, there's only been one race in the last 6 where more than 2 drivers have led 50 plus laps. I could see more of the same this week, despite the new rules package. We've only seen 2 drivers in each of those races, Kansas, Texas, and Vegas, lead 50 plus laps. There's only been 2 drivers to lead 50 or more laps in those 3 races. Kevin Harvick did lead 100 in the last race, so keep that in mind there as well. So, and this is a very long race, but if we go look at the last 6 races here, we've seen Kyle Busch lead 377 laps in the Coke 600 last year. Truex started 17th, led 91 laps in the playoff race in 2017. The Coke 600 last year, 2017, Austin Dillon won it, but Kyle Busch finished second. Then you got Martin Truex Jr. there. He led 233 laps. Jimmy Johnson, when he won, led 155 laps. Martin Truex Jr. absolutely dominated the Coke 600 in 2016, leading 392 laps. And then Joey Logano led 227 laps in the 2015 playoffs. He started from the 3rd position. So usually the winner is going to get a lot of dominator points. So we're definitely going to be looking for that one dominator, probably 2 or 3 with the stage breaks. Being such a long race, I think we're going to see somewhere in the 5 to 7 drivers lead, 10 or more laps, which we have seen, which has been a trend in those Kansas, Texas, and Las Vegas races there as well. So we'll just jump in. First of all, we'll look at some track history over the last 2 years. There's only 3 races in that sample size just because last playoffs they went and they're using the road course now for the playoff race. So there is only this one race at Charlotte every year, the Coke 600, the All-Star race as well, but we're not going to be looking at any All-Star race stuff. Kyle Larson did end up winning that, showed a fast car, but a little bit different rules package there, so we're not going to use that as reference. So I'm just going to go ahead and sort, and if you're new to the sheet, if you want to look at average finish, I'm going to go in that column, and I'm just going to go up to data and sort A to Z, which is lowest to highest. So Martin Truex Jr., of course, he's got a 2.0 average finish over the last 3 races here. He's got a win, and him and Denny Hamlin are the only 2 drivers that finished inside the top 5 in all 3 of those races. Kyle Busch is the only other driver with 2 top 5s in those 3 races. So Joe Gibbs Racing is definitely at the top of my list this week. If you want to look at average finish here, we'll just jump over to this tab here. I'm going to sort this by DraftKings pricing. We'll just jump over here to this tab here real quick. Eric Jones surprisingly leads the way. There's only one driver, and it's Kurt Busch, who has top 10s in all 3 of those races with the 2019 rules package on the intermediate tracks. But Eric Jones has the top average finish, 6.7, when you're looking at all 3 races put together. So you can come over here and you can kind of look at that. Clint Bowyer's up there. Kurt Busch has been strong. Kevin Harvick, Almirola. So Joe Gibbs Racing has been dominant at the Coke 600 and specifically Charlotte, but Stewart Haas Racing this year with the 2019 package on the intermediate tracks has also been very strong. So keep that in mind. We've got two different things to look at there, so we've got to find a balance. So we'll just jump back. We're going to look at some of my core plays here. Jump over and we'll look at practice and qualifying times. Right up number one for me. He's not number one in my model. That goes to Denny Hamlin this week, just slightly because he's been a little bit better, as you can see here at Kansas, Texas, and Vegas. But Kyle Busch is definitely my number one this week. He's qualified third. He's been good here in the past. We'll go look at his. I'm going to be definitely concentrating on the Joe Gibbs racing, starting with Kyle Busch. He won this race last year in dominating fashion, 6th or better in 3 of his last 4. He's going to be a contender when it comes to dominator points because he showed top 5 speed in both final practices. He was first in 10-lap averages there in that final practice as well. So he's definitely going to be number one. Martin Truex is going to be number 2 on my core plays list this week. He gives us a little bit of place differential starting 14th. He's been absolutely strong here. When you're looking at track history, he's number 1 on that list. Like Kyle, he's had a little bit of trouble this year when looking at the Kansas, Texas, and Vegas, but I think this is the week that Toyota gets back in the running. So definitely looking at Truex starting 14th. I think he's got a top 5 car. They're a team that's always been able to figure it out as they go from day to night. This race starts right around 6 to 6:15 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, they're going to be starting the day, then the lights come on as it gets into night. So there are a lot of changes. Whoever makes the best changes usually comes out on top of this race. Truex has definitely got a crew chief that can do that for him. And then going down a bit, Larson is down in my model just because, well, his struggles pretty much this season. But I think he's going to make a nice GPP play. Starting 25th. They got better, as you can see, into final practice. They weren't top 25. Started out with a slow car on the weekend. 12th in final practice, 12th in 10-lap average. I think they can even improve on that as well. So definitely not worried there. Number 1 in my model is Denny Hamlin. He's got top 5s in 3 straight races here at Charlotte and top 10s in 7 of his last 8 races. Definitely stands out for me at 9,200. If you're playing cash games, I like going Truex, Hamlin, and cash. Or even Kyle Busch, just to get those dominator points that I think he's going to be able to get. And then having Denny Hamlin start in 20th with a top 5 car, it's going to get you some place differential. I think that's a great way to start if you want to go with cash. Either way, Denny Hamlin's definitely number 1 in my cash model. This is kind of what I'm looking at this week in my modeling, is a little bit more for cash. Definitely Denny Hamlin's number 1. And then Eric Jones is the other Joe Gibbs racing driver I'm looking at. Doesn't have the greatest run here. 2017, when he was with the number 77 Furniture Row, he finished top 10, but he's outside the top 15 in his last 2 races here. Not too concerned. He showed a lot of speed this week, just like his teammates. Top 5 speeds in final practice, even in the 10-lap averages. So at 8,796 on FanDuel, I think he's in play in all formats as well. Daniel Suarez and Austin Dillon, both starting 6th and 4th there, as you can see. So they're starting up front. Those guys aren't normally your top 5 running cars. I will definitely look at them a little bit more on FanDuel, where place differential isn't as important, just in case they're finishing, in that 10th, 9th to 12th range. We're not going to lose those place differential as much for those place differential points as we would on DraftKings. So definitely like them there. But they did show really fast cars, Austin Dillon and teammate Daniel Hemrick there. They've got a lot of speed. Hemrick's definitely a lot cheaper here, but I'll definitely be looking at them as plays on FanDuel a little bit more than DraftKings this week. I really like Alex Bowman as a pivot off of those 2 drivers, which should be popular. As you can see, if they're high in my model, they're usually going to be high in everyone else's model. So definitely looking at Alex Bowman starting 13th this week. He stands out to me. Now, a driver I talked about, the only one that finished top 10 in all 3 races, I'm definitely going to be looking at him. I haven't got him highlighted. GPP this week. He just hasn't shown the speed yet, but they should be able to figure it out. He's starting 11th as Kurt Busch. Like I said, he finished top 10 in all 3, Vegas, Texas, and Kansas, in those 3 races with this package. So definitely going to be looking at him. He's been very consistent. I think you could consider him in there for cash games on FanDuel. A little bit more GPP when it comes to DraftKings there for me this week. Paul Menard starting 17th, showed top 10 speed in final practice. Really good price in the sub 7K range on DraftKings, 7,500 on FanDuel. And then GPP plays up top here in blue are going to be Kevin Harvick. They're also a very strong team, should be able to figure it out. He's been strong here. He's led laps here, 1 races here. So definitely looking at him. Brad Keselowski, I think, is a pivot off of some of these guys. I talked about Stuart Haas, so makes sense to look at Boyer and Almirola as GPP plays there as well. They qualified inside the top 10. Definitely looking at them a little bit more on FanDuel as well if you want to build a stack there. Some cheap plays I'm looking at this week. Darrell Wallace Jr. starting 29th. I think he's got some place differential upside. I think he's more of a 25th place car. 20th to 25th, I think, is where we can probably see him finish this week. So that makes him a nice value play in the sub 6K range. 4,500 on FanDuel. I talked about Daniel Hemrick. David Reagan as well, starting 31st. He showed top 20 speed as well, so I think he's maybe like a 15th to 23rd type car. So starting 31st, he makes a ton of sense as well. He's one that I would probably throw into my cash game lineups to get two of those higher end drivers, Denny Hamlin with teammate Truex, or up there with Kyle Busch as well. And then Matt DiBenedetto, probably going to be, this hasn't nearly been his best track. Starting 27th, he did show top 25, top 20 speed when you're looking at the 10-lap averages, which I really like to see. So he's someone I would consider for GPP only. So that covers my core drivers when it comes to cash games, GPPs, value plays. If you have any questions, definitely hit me up in the DFSR chat room, in the Roto Pros chat room. Also, you can leave your comments below in this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. We got lots more videos coming down the line. Good luck this week, everyone. Let's go get some green screens.